Pompeii's secrets. Scientists are discovering how people lived and died in the ancient Roman city, buried for centuries under the ash of Mount Vesuvius. By Brian Brown. It was more terrifying than any disaster movie, and absolutely real. In 79 AD, the volcano Mount Vesuvius on Italy's western coast unexpectedly erupted. In a matter of hours, the nearby Roman city of Pompeii and its neighbor Herculaneum were buried under tons of ash and volcanic rock. An estimated 2,000 people were killed. For 17 centuries, Pompeii stayed buried. Since archaeologists began uncovering the site in the 18th century, the world has been fascinated by the unique gaze it has given us into the ancient past. Last year alone, more than 3 million people visited the site. Pompeii may soon attract even more visitors. An ambitious $145 million effort sponsored by the European Union and the Italian government is unlocking more secrets of the city. The Great Pompeii Project, as the effort is known, is discovering fascinating new details about how Pompeians lived, and how they died. At the same time, the project's experts are working hard to save the ancient site, which has been threatened by centuries of both natural and human damage. The ultimate goal, project director Massimo Ossana told National Geographic, is to reconstruct ancient Roman life as though we have taken close-up photographs of a society 2,000 years ago.
Disaster at Pompeii. August 24th in the year 79 AD started out like a typical day in the ancient city of Pompeii. People went to work, ate at the city's many restaurants, and visited temples and theaters. But that day would turn out to be Pompeii's last. That morning, a loud boom suddenly shook the city. The top of nearby Mount Vesuvius exploded. What the people of Pompeii thought was just a mountain was actually a deadly volcano. Instantly, molten rock, hot ash, and poisonous gases shot miles into the sky and rained down on Pompeii. Pliny the Younger, a 17-year-old writer, observed from a distance. He wrote letters about what he saw. You can hear the shrieks of women, the crying of children, and shouts of men. The sight that met our still terrified eyes was a changed world, buried in ash like snow. Thousands of people were killed, suffocated by poisonous gases or buried by boiling hot ash. When that ash cooled, it hardened like cement, trapping Pompeii beneath it for centuries. Then, in 1748, archaeologists began digging up the remains of Pompeii. It was like the city was frozen in time. Objects such as paintings, jewelry, and even food were almost perfectly preserved. Scientists have even been able to determine the exact positions people were in when they died. Today, Pompeii is one of the most visited sites in the world. But over the years, parts of the ruins have been damaged by wind and rain and people walking over them. Experts are working to restore Pompeii so future generations can enjoy the lost city.
A city destroyed. In 79 AD, Pompeii was a thriving port city and seaside resort of about 12,000 people in the heart of the Roman Empire. See map, below. The city traded with every corner of the empire. Wealthy Romans had vacation homes there. Pompeii's streets were busy with citizens, their slaves, and traders from all over. So on the morning of August 24th, few Pompeians were probably paying attention to Mount Vesuvius, about 5 miles away. After all, the volcano hadn't erupted in more than 1,500 years. Around midday, however, Vesuvius began smoking, then shooting flames into the sky. Soon it started ejecting molten rock and ash in an enormous cloud that blotted out the sun. Tremors shook the earth. The writer Pliny the Younger watched from Misenum, across the Bay of Naples. Ashes were already falling, hotter and thicker, he later wrote, followed by bits of pumice, volcanic rock, and blackened stones, charred and cracked by the flames. By now, thousands of people were fleeing the city in panic. Those who sought shelter there didn't have a chance. The rain of pumice gathered deadly force, causing roofs to collapse on everyone below. Shortly after midnight, Vesuvius exploded again, triggering a surge of ash and hot gas of up to 100 miles per hour. Pompeii and Herculaneum were completely swallowed up, digging up the dead. As centuries passed, the locations of the old Roman towns covered by Vesuvius were lost. They became fabled cities, says historian John Bedell of Brown University. When workers unexpectedly uncovered part of Herculaneum in 1709, experts knew they had found these almost mythical places again. But for more than a century, most attempts to excavate the sites were done haphazardly. In 1863, the Italian archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli finally began to unearth Pompeii in a systematic way. His findings were revelations. Sheltered by up to 30 feet of volcanic debris, much of Pompeii had been amazingly preserved. Vesuvius had frozen a city at a moment in time that could be examined like an insect in amber, says Bedell. Workers found intact loaves of bread and eggs still in their shells. Vesuvius had frozen a city at a moment in time. Like an insect in amber. The uncovering of Pompeii was a major event in world history, Bedell says. Its houses, shops, temples, and thousands of frescoes, paintings on plaster walls, formed the most detailed picture of an ancient Roman city ever found. Then there were Pompeii's dead. The volcanic matter from Vesuvius had covered many victims, then instantly hardened around them. As the bodies rotted, they left behind their skeletons inside the ghostly outline of their figures. Fiorelli poured plaster into those outlines as if they were an artist's molds, making plaster casts that preserved the forms. One man curled up in a ball, another reaching up to protect himself, a mother shielding her baby. These images of people at the moment of death bear haunting witness to Pompeii's fate. Scans reveal details. Scientists today are learning even more about the lives of Pompeii's citizens, thanks to new technology. For example, until recently, there was no way to examine the bones that remain inside the thick plaster casts. Now, using CT scans, highly detailed 3D X-rays, technicians can peer into the casts, drawing a clearer picture of those people and what happened to them. So far, the scans have revealed that Pompeians had strong teeth, suggesting good nutrition. Hundreds of bags of ancient human waste from the city's sewers also indicate a healthy diet rich in whole grains, fruits, nuts, and fish. In addition, the scans reveal how those Pompeians died, from head injuries caused by falling rock or collapsing buildings. Crisis in Pompeii. Today, the site is extremely fragile. Over the years, it has been hit by multiple earthquakes, bombers during World War II, 1939 to 1945, and countless floods. In recent years, its buildings were in danger of crumbling after every hard rainfall. Pompeii is the most important archaeological site in the Roman world. Pompeii faced crisis on every level, Osana, the director of the Great Pompeii Project, recalls. His team of 200 archaeologists, architects, and other specialists is now working to stabilize and restore the ancient site. The 99%. Pompeii remains the most important archaeological site in the Roman world, says historian Mary Beard of Cambridge University. Nowhere do we come face to face with the ancient past in quite this up-close and personal way. Pompeii has long been where cutting-edge archaeological techniques are tried out, Bedell adds. Such methods allow archaeologists to examine how ancient people from sites all over the globe lived. Our evolving world also changes the way we look at Pompeii. In the past, people were mostly fascinated by the rich, says Stephen Ellis, an archaeologist who works at the site. These days, we're asking about the 99%, he says, meaning the city's average working people. For instance, how diverse was Pompeii? Researchers had found bodies of numerous ethnicities from as far away as present-day France. How many people came to Pompeii as slaves? What were their lives like? Says Ellis, there are almost endless questions. Core question: why was uncovering Pompeii a major event in world history? Mount Vesuvius may have seemed pretty quiet in 79 AD, but actually, the volcano had erupted often in the distant past. Around 1780 BC, one nasty explosion wiped out every town and farm within 15 miles. Since 79, Vesuvius has erupted dozens of times, once, in 1631, killing 6,000 people. The volcano erupted most recently in 1944. Could it happen again? According to Nature magazine, scientists have detected a rumbling within the past decade that could indicate an active reservoir of magma, molten volcanic matter, in Vesuvius. Experts say that what worries them most are the 3 million people who live in the Naples area. Evacuating them safely in the event of an eruption would be a nightmare. This is why Vesuvius is the most dangerous volcano in the world, one local scientist said. The city-state of Rome ruled one of the largest empires in history. Pompeii was near the very heart of the Roman world. Map skills. 1. Rome is the capital of what modern country? 2. The map shows the Roman Empire in what year? 3. The empire extended over which 3 continents? 4. The empire surrounded which body of water? 5. The Roman Empire reached northwest to which sea? 6. In which direction would you travel from Rome to Misenum? 7. The towns destroyed by Mount Vesuvius sat along which body of water? 8. About how many miles separate Herculaneum and the volcano? 9. How many miles separate Pompeii and Rome? 10. The present-day nation of Turkey has coastline on the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. It formed part of what peninsula?